Somewhere right now, a creative is sitting on intellectual property worth real money and they don't know it exists. This is not because it is hidden. This is not because the lawyer is keeping it from them. It's because nobody ever told them that the thing they made, the moment they made it, already came with rights attached to it automatically. Now, this is before any contract, before any registration, before anyone even asked. Most creatives think of IP as something you go and get, a process, a form you fill in when you've made it, when you can afford a lawyer, when it finally feels, serious enough to matter. That is backwards. You don't get IP. You already have it. The question is whether you know what you are holding and whether you are doing anything to protect it. Today, we're not talking about the legal theory. We're talking about the rights sitting in your hands right now, whether you've noticed them or not. Welcome back to the Vibe Lab podcast, where we sit inside the machinery of the African creative economy instead of just admiring it from the outside. My name is Ali Oceans. I'm an entertainment lawyer, CEO of Creatico, and your guide through the business side of creativity. Every week, we're unpacking one idea that could completely change how you create, protect, and profit from your work. Now, this week, we're syncing with the Build Lab Quote 1, week 4, our 13-week Creatico program. Now, this week's Build Lab topic is intellectual property, or IP for short, as we love to call it. Though, I promise that by the end of this episode, IP will stop sounding like something that lives exclusively in the law office with bad lightings and a very serious clock on the wall. Because here's the thing about IP. No, everybody treats it like it's special, something for the law people and the law people alone to worry about. And I get it. I mean, I'm one of the law people you're talking about, and I even would admit that the vocabulary is designed to make your eyes glaze over. But IP isn't a specialty for creatives. It's the actual shape of your career. It's not a side quest. It is the map. So in today's episode, I'm going to be tackling 3 questions really that would help you understand IP even better. So let's get into it. Now, the first thing we should look at is the IP most creatives ignore. So what is the IP that creatives most often ignore, and why does it even matter? Now, everyone talks about or thinks IP or intellectual property is the big scary contract from, a brand. That one that comes with 14 pages, with, a font size that is clearly chosen to discourage reading. And yes, I know that those contracts matter a lot, but the IP most creatives, lose isn't hidden in those documents. It's the one they created on a random Tuesday and forgot about by Thursday. Now, here's the thing. Copyright, just like oxygen, helps us breathe. Copyright is like breathing. You're doing it automatically without thinking about it. The moment you create an original work and capture it in a tangible form, a photo, a beat, a design, a script, a caption, a painting, a video, you automatically own copyright to that work. You don't apply for it. You don't wait for approval. There is no government committee deciding whether your latest logo deserves protection. You created it. It's original. It's yours. So congratulations. You are already a right holder. Now, the problem is nobody tells creatives this because there isn't, there's no ceremony, no certificate that arrives in your mail, no firework goes off. Ownership quietly begins the moment the work exists. And because it happens so quietly, many creatives treat it as though it isn't real. So they assume ownership only starts when a lawyer gets involved or a document is stamped. Guys, it doesn't. That is where the real problem begins. In fact, think about this thing as slowly as you can. I mean, think about the things you have that have slowly become your identity, right? Your brand name, your tagline, your catchphrase, the one that people actually associate with you, your signature editing style, the visual language everyone instantly recognizes as yours. These are often some of your most valuable creative assets. Yet, very few creatives ever stop to ask, if someone started using it tomorrow, what rights do I actually have to these things? And that's because we have quietly moved into another part of the intellectual property conversation, because there's a lot of conversations around it. It's not just copyright. There's trademark. I mean, think of intellectual property as a house, right? Copyright is the house itself. The moment you build it, you own it. Trademark, on the other hand, is the name on the gate. It tells the world whose house this is, because without that name on the gate, someone else might just build a remarkably similar house, put your name on it or something confusingly close to your name, and then leave everyone wondering which is which. Is yours the original? Is theirs the original? So many issues trying to figure that out. So a lot of creatives have built beautiful houses, but very few have been able to put the name on the gate. So you see, it's just a very wide conversation that creatives need to start getting interested in. So the next question I'll try and answer is one relating to, the earliest moment you can formalize your rights, right? So the question basically is, what is the earliest moment a creative should formalize their rights, and what happens if they don't? Now, here's the answer to this question. I'm going to be very honest with you. You have to do it much earlier than most people think. Don't do it when, the deal arrives. Don't do it when the brand emails you. Don't do it when your content goes viral. The moment your work has commercial potential, which you should know, that is the moment you go and formalize your rights. Now, most creatives wait until there's a contract on the table before they start thinking about rights. But that's like arriving at the airport and then you finally remember that you haven't packed your passport. That can be very annoying. So, can you figure it out? Maybe. You might be lucky enough to figure it out, but it's going to cost you more. It's going to take longer and be far more stressful than if you had sorted it out weeks earlier when there was no pressure. And here's what often happens while you're waiting. Because while you're trying to sort it out, you have to wait, right? This is what happens. These are the things that probably happen while you're waiting. Somebody else moves fast. Now, moving fast in intellectual property isn't always dramatic too. I need you to know that. Sometimes it's as simple as filing a paperwork. Yes, it sounds so boring, but it isn't. Sometimes filing a form is the one difference, between owning a brand and fighting to keep it. Now, imagine you've been using a brand name for 2 years. It's on your Instagram, your website, your merchandise. Everyone knows you by it, but you've never formally protected it. And then a company with a deeper pockets just registers a confusingly similar name before you do. And suddenly you're the one trying to prove that you were there first. And yes, maybe you were, but going to court and saying something like, I've been using a name for years. I mean, my lord, look at my old post. Like, this is a weak position. It's a weaker position than, producing a registration certificate with your name and date on it. So think of protecting your intellectual property like, putting a lock on your front door before you go on holiday. Now, you don't wait before you come back, because if you wait for you to come back, you're going to find an empty house and then you start making plans to decide to install a security system. I mean, what's the point? Because at that point, it's not just about protecting the loss now. You're not preventing the loss at that point. You are literally dealing with the consequences. And I think that's where many creatives get stuck. Protecting your work early might feel unnecessary. I mean, you would think, I'm not big yet. I mean, nobody's paying attention. I'll do that when things take up. But the funny thing about success is that it usually arrives before you're ready for it. I mean, for the few of us that have been successful to a certain level, you know for sure that it sometimes arrive before you're ready for it. So the best time to structure around your work, the best time to do all of this, to put structure around your work, is before everyone else starts seeing its value, because early protection is usually straightforward. Trying to protect something after somebody else has already built value around it, that can become very expensive or very time consuming, sometimes impossible to undo. By then, it now feels like you're no longer building. It feels like you're recovering. And that's a very, very bad place and harder place to start at. So question number 3 is, centered around IP in one sentence. If I was to teach IP to anyone anywhere in one sentence, what would I say, or what would be my grand speech? All right. So if you forget everything else from this episode, remember this one sentence. If you can't clearly say what you own, what you can license, and what you're giving away, you're not managing your intellectual property. You're just hoping nobody notices it even exists. I'll take it again. If you can't clearly say what you own, what you can license, and what you're giving away, you're not managing your intellectual property. You're just hoping nobody notices you have any. Now, that is the entire episode for today in one line. I'm not going to lie to you, because IP management isn't some complicated legal system reserved for big companies. It's not something you do once and never think about again. It's simply getting into an habit of asking 3 questions every time you create something. So I'm going to give you the questions. First question, what do I own? Now, this is the easiest one to answer, because the moment you create something original, whether it's a song, a script, a video, a logo, you own it automatically. Nobody needs to approve it. Nobody hands you a certificate first for this. Ownership starts the moment that work exists. The problem isn't that creatives don't own their work. The problem is that many don't realize what they own until they've already signed it away. And that's really sad. The second question you should worry about is, what should I register? Now, not every form of intellectual property is automatic. I mean, copyright is automatic, but the other forms of intellectual property are not automatic. Things like your brand name, your logo, your business identity, those are the things that often need formal registrations. So, I mean, you get to use either trademarks or patents for most of those things, depending on what you're using it for. Now, think of it this way. Copyright builds the house. Trademark puts your name on the gate. One gives you the ownership of the work, the other helps protect the identity attached to it. So always know that. What should I register? The third question is, what can I license? Now, because I need to know that, because somewhere along the line, we've been taught that there are only 2 choices. Either you keep your work forever or you sell it forever. And if you know me well, you know I'm not a big fan of one-time payments. I hate them so much. But that is not how things work. You cannot just have 2 options and then leave it at that. Either you work or you keep your work forever or you sell it forever. You can actually have a middle ground, a gray, which we love to call licensing. So imagine owning a house. You don't have to sell the house just because someone wants to use it, right? But you can rent it out. You become a landlord. Become a landlord and rent out your space. They get to use it for a specific period, under specific conditions, while you still own your property. Now, that is what licensing is. Licensing is renting your work for use to others for a certain period of time under a certain condition, basically. So someone gets to pay for permission to use your work, not to own it. So they use it, and when the license ends, ownership is still yours. Now, that is why if you ask any creative economy exec, any entertainment lawyer, IP lawyer, they'll tell you that licensing is the most powerful wealth building tool in the creative economy. Now, you don't have to keep selling your assets. Please don't do that. But you can keep activating them. And here's what I find really interesting about it. Most contracts don't start by asking you, how can we structure this for both parties to benefit? No, they start by telling you sign here, because it's more simpler for the other party to actually own everything. So your job is to know that there are other options. Your job, listening to me right now, you should know that there are other options, because once you understand ownership, registration, and licensing, you stop thinking like someone chasing the next payment. You start thinking like someone building a catalog of assets that can create value long after the work is finished. So let's land this plane right now. IP is not paperwork. Paperwork is actually what confirms it, but the thing itself is the actual legal shape of what you've made. It's not decoration around your career. It is the career viewed from a slightly different angle. Now, learning this framework is not a legal specialism you outsource entirely and never think about. Please don't do that. Yes, it's good to always have a lawyer with you, but you need to learn the framework too. It's a career skill, for God's sakes. It's in the same category as, knowing your rights or knowing your rates or knowing how to read a room when it's time for negotiation. You don't even need a law degree for this. You just need 3 questions on repeat. You need to answer 3 questions on repeat. What do I own? What can I register? What can I license? And I want to be clear about what this isn't. Right? This isn't a go get scared and lock everything down and stop collaborating with other people. No. I really, really need to understand that openness and generosity are part of the creative life. Genuinely, you have to do it once in a while. This is about knowing the difference between generosity you chose and generosity you didn't realize you were performing because nobody told you there's actually another option. You need to know that there is always another option on your list when it comes to your creativity. So I'm going to close with this. One thing to hold from today is this. You already own more than you think. The gap is not ownership. I promise you, the gap is knowledge. So go find out what exactly is yours before someone else finds out for you first. Please do that. So next week on the Vibe Lab, we would go from, what you own to what you sign away without realizing it. The next episode will be called Contract Without Confusion. Now, there are clauses that quietly move your right out of your hands, and you get to know how to spot them before your signature does the damage. So it has been the Vibe Lab podcast before you today. My name is Ali Oceans. Go check the locks in your house. Please go check the locks in your house. And don't forget to follow Creatico on all social media platforms because we would love to actually be in touch with you. Our cohort 2 on waitlist is up and running for the Build Lab. So if you'd love to join our next cohort, please, we'll drop the link in the show notes for you to go, click on it and register and, join the waitlist. I'll see you guys next week. Love you guys so much. Bye.